Good evening. Why are you laughing at? The fuck you laughing? It's an honor to be in the presence of all the supporters of the American Civil Liberties Union. It's been an amazing organization and a guiding light for me. It's supported me in so many ways. I mean, my work, its work is, and all of our work is kind of connected. So for me, being here is, at this moment in time, is fantastic. I'm actually brought here because we're going to honor a dear friend of mine who I've known since he was basically a child. He was the first lawyer that worked at Def Jam, and we started, 300 years ago, and he was just a baby. But he's been a person who, even as a young man, knew that his presence was more than one to sustain himself and his family. He knew that his job was to help others. And for that, I'm deeply grateful. He's another person around me who reminded me that my purpose should be greater. He's always been a guiding light to me and to the people who worked with me. And then when he left and he got, became really successful, he got away from me, he got really successful and made a shitload of money. And I just honored him last year, and we made a shitload of money just because we honored him. I hope you guys did your job. If you had checked some of his friends, you did really well tonight. We made a shit ton of money fucking with Frank. So I was always say, if God gives me the words, I'll say the right thing. And sometimes he doesn't give me the right words, but I don't feel I could mess up Frank Cooper. But I'm talking to you guys, and you guys have such great purpose, and at this great moment, I kind of want to deviate just a little bit, and I'll get back to Frank. Frank will wait. We are at a moment now, and I wrote this thing, I called it a prayer for Trump a couple days ago, and I was hopeful that he would get his old Jewish New York liberal friends and other friends, and I've known him for over 30 years, and I thought some of the friends who he cared about would inspire him to be the first, and I said first independent president, because he don't give a fuck, he'll lie to get where he is, but maybe he'll change. But as you've been watching the last 2 days, his transition team has gotten darker and darker, and scary and scary. They don't believe in climate change, these fuckers, they don't believe in climate change. Or anybody's rights and anybody's nothing, they just don't give a fuck. They just are really and I think that, I wanted everybody, I said all of our friends should give him a hug, but I just don't know if he's huggable right now. Which means the resistance has got to be really strong. I spoke to Michael Moore this morning. I've been talking to him, and I want to say that, this could be a moment, and I'm a yogi, I always there's a bright side. Even the idea I wrote this nigga a prayer, Jesus. That he might be the independent president, but I know that this could be a moment when because we realize what a threat this is to our future, that we can come together, and this could be the greatest turnaround in the midterm elections, and this could be the moment that we organize around the ideals that we fought for our whole lives and make a difference. So I just hope that, I know that we're up for it. I see the people in the street, and maybe this is a moment that we can continue, because we always go forward, go backwards, forward, backwards, forwards, So we're still going forward, and we have to, take this as a moment of inspiration and not one where I have friends that just wake up crying and shit, literally wake up and say, I'm just crying because I don't, they haven't changed, their life hasn't changed, but their intention and their prayer hasn't changed, but they still feel a setback. So I just wanted to say that, to encourage everybody, and we all here because we're encouraged, just to keep it in stride and to go forward despite what seems like a terrible setback and what seems like a terrible threat. Let's try to just continue to try to give everybody the opportunity and the freedom that we want for ourselves. Let's just keep that mantra. All right, back to Frank. I took the shit out. I took this pulpit, right? It was mine, right? I didn't mean to. But I wanted to say it because I just wanted to say it. I don't know. Frank Cooper has been an inspiration to me and to everyone around me. What are these words? Fuck are these words? Everyone around me forever, like for as long since he's a kid. And you guys, he was on your board. I don't know if anybody knows, he was on the board when he was just a kid. When he was on your board, all I cared about was cocaine and girls. That's all I cared about. And he was on your board. He was doing the right thing then. He's always been a person who stood up for other people, and that has been a great inspiration to me. And I hope that some of you don't know enough about Frank, but when you look into him, you will find the kind of spirit we want that all of Americans to take on, his energy, his spirit, and his goodness. So I don't know what else to say except he's a dear friend. I'm very lucky to be here. He brought me here today. And I want to say one quick word about Norman Lear, another inspiration. Thank you, Norman, if you're here somewhere. Bring it back. Frank Cooper is an amazing individual for you who don't know. And he certainly deserves all the praise and honor that we can give him tonight. I think I'm supposed to give you the award. Frank, come on up here and get this shit. All right. Oh, yeah. That's it.
Thank you, Russell. Never knew I was such a money machine, but I love that, though. I love it. No, this really is a special moment for me because I spent over a decade on the ACLU Foundation board, and Ramona Ripston brought me into the family, and I'm so thankful for her for doing that a long time ago. And I'm also humbled by the fact that Norman Lear is being honored. I've lived in New York now for over 23 years and knew nothing about New York except, that moving on up to the east side in a deluxe apartment in the sky was a good thing. And so I'm thankful for that. And then I especially want to thank my wife, Nina Whittington Cooper, who it's been my life partner and my rock throughout. And so thank you so much for everything that you've done and continue to do. Look, I'm a businessman, and so some of you have to be wondering, so what does that have to do with civil liberties and the Bill of Rights? But as Russell suggested, I've always believed that business and social consciousness are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they should work together. And I've had the good fortune of working with people who had that consciousness. I worked with Judge Stephen Reinhardt, who's an amazing legal mind, but also had a deep sense of humanity. He understood that justice ultimately was about people. I've worked with Russell, and Russell, as crazy as Russell is, as crazy as he was, Russell not only transformed culture through hip hop, he also understood that hip hop was about allowing people to overcome struggle. No matter where you were from, it taught people, young people in particular, how to overcome struggle. And I worked with Indra Nooyi, who was chairman and CEO of PepsiCo, and Indra over 10 years ago said financial performance and purpose need to work together. And she stated that 10 years ago, and so she has this notion of environmental consciousness and social consciousness that's built into it. And so all I've tried to do is try to carry that forward. And so I just asked the question, why shouldn't a brand come off of the pedestal and have empathy for people? Why shouldn't a publisher take historically marginalized people and who are marginalized by the mainstream and make them the new mainstream? That can be done. Even a financial institution, why should they not make democratizing financial literacy a core purpose? These things are not theoretical. They actually can happen, should happen, and need to happen. And I'll leave you with this, because I know we're all stunned by what's happened over the past week, and we could succumb to despair. But if there's ever a time to fight, now's the time to fight. And no matter where you stand, there's something you can do. You can raise a fist. You can take a knee during the anthem. You can stand with the Black Lives movement, Black Lives Matter movement. You can write a song. You can do whatever you do as Russell said, whatever your job is, do that job even more intensely, do it better, and do it with deep humanity. I thank you guys very much. I'm humbled by this honor, and I appreciate you. Thank you.